herzlich willkommen zurück auf Schalke America. It's a Victory Monday. I'm your host, Richard. Joining me as always, co-host Jack. How are we doing?
Doing well. Victory Monday, as you said, and a big one at that, given the opponent and the time of year here, almost heading into the winter break. So, lots to talk about.
We do have a lot to talk about. We're coming to you live from the snowy Midwest, both of us here. But yeah, it's a Victory Monday, and this is our 10th Victory Monday this year, Jack. This equals the amount of Victory Mondays we had all of last season. Wrap your mind around that just for a second. We're not even at the Christmas break yet. We're at 10 wins already. What a victory year it's been thus far. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's well beyond any expectations I could have had coming in. And I hate to keep bringing up NFL football on the Schalke podcast, but the parallels between the Bears and like the Schalke this year, it really is crazy. I'm not used to this. Like both teams are just surprisingly kind of at the top of the heap as we head towards December here. So yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah, and I think with all this Victory Monday, it's due for a little bit of celebration. So let's celebrate with the boys here for a little bit. Just get into the mood here. The boys having fun with Bryan Lasme. Obviously, he scores the game-winning goal in this one. Wow, what a performance in this one. A stark contrast to the game we saw at Hanover, or Munster, the week before. I'll kick things off before we get into the lineups and stuff like that. Shout out to the TIFO that happened before the game. Unreal TIFO. Actually happened in the 11th minute, not before the game, in the 11th minute to celebrate 150 years of the city of Gelsenkirchen becoming a city. And this is a city of 1,000 fires. You see the full choreograph here, and it was really well done. You rarely see them happen during the game. It's usually before,
Right.
breaks, and so that was a nice touch. But in the 11th minute, it happened in November, back in 150 years ago. So I thought it was very nice touch by them there.
Yeah, I mean, the Schalke Tifo game is on point as it usually is. I think we're spoiled, with our diehard German fans over there in the Nord Curve and the displays they put on a pretty regular basis. So yeah, another great one from me. Yeah, I agree. Doing that kind of in the middle of the game is always more interesting too. When, you're 12 minutes in, whatever, and starts raising up.
Yeah, 100%. The lineups in the game. We were the host team. Let's first look at the road team. We had Paderborn, top of the table. This is two teams, top of the table. A lot of big matchups. I think like 3 or 4 big matchups, top 10 matchups this weekend. But obviously the top spiel was us against Paderborn, 1 versus 2. As we always say, anytime there's a former Schalke player, there's a 50% chance they're going to score. And of course, they have Calvin Brackelman, who isn't playing in defense for them. But as well with him, you had Felix Gotze, brother of Mario. You had Scheller in defense with Seaman, the goalkeeper on loan from Stuttgart. And midfield, you had Hansen, Bauer, Castaneda, and Obermeier. Up top, you had 2 very talented players, and Bilbia, who's been notoriously a Schalke torture there, and then Lorraine Kurda, who's having kind of a rocket of a season, coming all the way from the 5th tier to now he's doing pretty well for them. And then Antigas up top. For me, always is going to be the main danger man is Bilbia, just because he's done us dirty for a long time now. But that's kind of who I looked at in this game. Who are you looking at Paderborn before coming to this?
No, I agree with all of your shouts. The only other one is just fortunately on the bench as well was Sven Mikkel, who I feel like has done some damage in the past and is always dangerous. So I wasn't pleased to see him, make a cameo later in the game, and he was involved in a couple moments in the box that kind of got you nervous because it can never be easy. But
no, never easy. But speaking of never easy, you got Loris Karius in goal. It's a guy who not only is our starting goalkeeper, but moonlights as a model and a DJ when he's not playing soccer. So, I guess he's set up for a career afterwards, but he's in goal. Back 3 did not change. Ihan, Katic, and Kurchai. Midfield 4, midfield 5, kind of changed a little bit. You had Valentevich kind of pushing back to the right wing spot. You had Elfawzi and Schallenberg normally in their normal spots. Vitaly Becker returned to the lineup, which is a huge help. And then behind Muslic, you had Kenan Karaman and Antwi Ajay. Good to see Jimmy get in there alongside Kenan Karaman. Thoughts on our lineup in this one?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's notable that we're still not seeing a ton of Sanchez outside of cameos for the most part. I mean, like he's made, a number of appearances this year, but still a lot of them are off the bench. So I think we were wondering after some of those injuries happened earlier if it was how much of a rotation it was going to be. And I do feel like, Ian's kind of been the guy for the most part.
Yeah.
I like Valentovich, what he brings to the table in the matches. I think he's been bright, so I'm not surprised to see him getting more opportunities to start. And then, Antwi Ajay, I thought this was probably his best performance or one of his better performances since, maybe a couple of ones earlier in the year that we've talked about where he's just significantly more active and pops up consistently on the ball in a lot of, different areas of the pitch, different phases of the game. And I thought he was doing that again. So, a very nice active counterpart to Karaman at that kind of part of the pitch.
Yeah, I agree. And, two of the talking points for two of the key guys for last game against Munster, who weren't really active. Silla and Karaman, I thought both of them were much more involved in this one. Silla got pretty much the whole run out in this game, and Karaman as well. But we'll get to that good stuff in a little bit. But, I love your shout about Valentevich. Brings a lot, the youngster, just that energy, youthful energy, and marauding down the right flank, which we need because, Vitaly Becker does that on the left-hand side, and we need that balance, as you mentioned, to really complete the attack, I guess, if you will, because our defense has been our strong suit all season long. It's the attack that's been the worrisome part. And I kept mentioning, like, if we can get the wing play involved, get the attack more involved, get some service up to the people up top, we have a better chance of scoring some goals. We just can't make it at the expense of the defense. So love to see that lineup there in this game. So we mentioned the TIFO in the 11th minute, which is fantastic to see. But before that, the danger man we pointed out, Bilbia, gets a shot attempt in the 7th minute. Good defense by Schalke, really acknowledging the threat that is Bilbia and ready for his shot there. And then in the 8th minute, we got our first bit of controversy or excitement. Penalty shout, great pass into the box of Musasilla. He gets taken down by aforementioned former Schalke player Brockelman. Automatically, the referee calls a penalty, and Kenan Karaman grabs the ball. We're all celebrating. I go to VAR, and I'm like, well, what are they checking? As Michael says, 3 cannot between the players in the lineup, who are very important for us for sure. But VAR says it's not a penalty. It is a foul. It's a yellow card on Brockelman, but it was outside the box. Did you agree with that? Because live, I certainly didn't agree with that. What were your
No,
thoughts?
I mean, I thought it was an absurd decision. One of the more shocking ones I think I've seen. I'm sure someone's going to be able to point to something in the rule book as it pertains to like the first contact, in sort of like a sequence. I don't understand that at all. There is definitive contact in the box. There is an arm extension from the defender that immediately precipitates him falling down. Not like, the arm is already extended and there's no contact. He literally extends the arm and pushes him in the back. You can argue it's not, enough contact to warrant him taking that action or something, in which case it's simulation. You give still a yellow card. You didn't do that. You call the foul. Like, to me, it's a clear penalty. And even if it isn't a penalty, it's certainly not a clear and obvious error where VAR, I feel like, should even be talking to the officials. So, I mean, if they're saying that, like, oh, it's all kind of one simultaneous action, and because that action was initiated outside the box, therefore it's not a penalty. I mean, so what? Like, a player could run 50 yards and they're touching each other, and then there's a foul in the box, but it happened 30 yards back. So that's like the beginning. That just seems like insane to me. So, I don't even know why the referee was being spoken to, and it is beyond me why he decided he needed to reverse that. Don't know what your thoughts are if you differ from me, but I don't understand it. So I'm waiting for someone to explain it in the comments. Maybe you can to me.
Yeah, no, I didn't understand it one bit whatsoever because, like, if it's not enough of a penalty and Musa still has possession of the ball, you let the play continue. Then he goes down to the box, and then you're like, well, you can't just walk it back. Like, well, like you said, he got first touch here. It's like, no. pick your poison there. And I'm kind of with Michael in the comments, where it's like, okay, if it's not a penalty, it's a red card, because that was the last defender before he goes. I mean, he would have been a clear scoring chance had he not been taken down. So like,
that's a fair point too. Yeah, I hadn't considered that necessarily, but yeah,
I hadn't either. And so like, it's either or. It's either a penalty or a red card. It's not a foul outside the box and a yellow card. It's a foul, yes, but inside the box. So like,
right.
you start going down until he's in the box. Don't give me that first touch BS the referee tried to give us with. Made no sense to me. I was infuriated by that. And as the first half, went on, I started wondering if this is going to come back to bite us. I'm glad it didn't, but man, it's like, what's going on here? But moving on from that,
real quick, has there been much of an explanation from like?
I haven't seen him. Manuel Grafa, I'm curious if he said anything.
Or like anything like coming out to like explain that decision, because it was wild to me.
Yeah, I don't know for sure if we've heard anybody from the DFB say anything. I'm curious if Manuel Grafa has said anything, and I'll check that throughout the podcast. But yeah, I haven't heard anything just yet, and so we'll see what comes from that. But last week I talked about in the Munster game transition now, where the one thing we had been doing fairly well this year in Muslic's own way is the pressing. It's been his own style of pressing, trigger pressing. And we didn't see that in Munster game. Actually, Munster probably had the better of the pressing between the two teams last week. And it was really a weak point for us last week. And so you saw a great example of how we came back to that pressing mentality. A good example, if you go back to the tapes, 22nd minute or so, there's a play where, Schalke's pressing the goalkeeper, forces a turnover, and then like Schalke keeps bringing extra bodies to try to outnumber the Paderborn players every time the ball is around. And so they kept just throwing wave after wave of players, just confusing the Paderborn defense and causing turnover, causing chaos for Paderborn back there. And that's kind of like what Muslic has gotten us back to. You got to give him credit for righting the ship. There was doubt whether, we could sustain what we've been doing so far this year. And then he gave us a quick reminder, like, yes, we can. If we do this right, if we listen, we're disciplined, we can press this. So I thought, at least for me, I don't know about you, but I thought the pressing in this game was far superior to what we saw last week against Munster. What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I thought Paderborn did a pretty good job disrupting us as well at times. And I think our pass completion in the first half was pretty rough, although some of the attempts we were taking. Yeah, I agree. I thought we were very sharp. And we need to, because they're a physical team too. There's some teams that are like good, and there's some teams that are good and physical, and you know what I mean. Like it kind of it changes the way you have to kind of approach things, and I thought we were certainly up for the challenge in that regard in this one. But yeah, the minute you pointed out too is a good example.
This felt like a top spiel game. It felt like two teams who were good, who deserved to be there, who, everything they've done so far this season had, looked up to, because both teams were trying to trade, attacks or making the opposition feel uncomfortable. And you start to feel that Paderborn was starting to build more and more into that first half. The first real danger moment for me should have been an eye-opener for Schalke's defense. 36th minute, Matic nearly scores an own goal. Luckily, our goalkeeper was paying attention and saved it, but it was a bad almost.
It looked like it was on target.
It was on target. It was on target. Led to a corner. And then, a couple minutes later, it was a counterattack, or it wasn't even a counterattack. It was like a play out by Paderborn, a quick, decisive passing. When Schalke's been weak this year, it's because teams really quick passing down the flanks and find a way to get in. And you saw Brackelman pass up to somebody in the midfield who did a nice switch of play. It might have been Brackelman made a nice switch of play. Went over to the right wing side. Eventually found his way back to Obermeier, who then crosses into the box, and Kurda, who's been having a kind of a skyrocket of a career where he come from the fifth tier to now the Zweite, scores a great header goal, unmarked really. I don't know if it was Kurchai or who missed it there, but great header.
It's Katic.
Okay.
Well, I mean, so Kurchai was behind where Kuda was flying in. Katic was kind of setting up in front of him and sort of like glanced over and looked at where Kuda was going to be running from beforehand. And then, like, when the ball was in the air, just didn't really make any attempt to, like, find a body, and also didn't really make an attempt
Yeah.
to go for the ball. So I don't know if he thought like Kurachai had it or something, but to me, the first line of defense there was Kotic, and he may have been a little bit out of position slightly or something.
Yeah.
But it was a really good ball from Obermeyer, really well placed. And like you said, I mean, yeah, I hate that it happens against us, but it is a cool story. You have to give him the credit there, Corda.
Now, I don't know how about you, but at the time, and I haven't seen the goal since, but it felt like Karius could have done more on that goal. Looked like he didn't stretch out as much as he could have. Maybe it's just me. I mean, did you get that feeling, or just me feeling during the game?
I have to rewatch it. That wasn't the sense I got when I saw it the first time, but I took a look at it again.
Maybe I was just pissed that they scored a goal. I don't know. Trying to find an excuse for somebody. I don't know. But that lead by Paderborn, which you hate to go down in a game, especially it's a team that's higher than you in the table, who are really good, know what to do with the lead. Didn't last very long. It lasted only a few minutes, and really to the third minute of stoppage time, where this is arguably a goal of the season contender right now. The pass comes over the top, and I don't remember if it was Silla. I think it was Silla I think it was El Fauzi to Silla. Silla finds it, slots it through to Karaman. Karaman does this like deft touch around the first defender, and then sets himself up, moves the defender out of the way, and then shoots it rocket past the goalkeeper. At first glance, you're just thinking, okay, it's a nice goal by Karaman. You watch the replay, the technicality by Karaman. This is an exquisite goal for a guy who we often say like scores these goals. He does nothing that scores these like Messi type goals. This was a Messi type goal that he scored with his footwork. Please tell me you agree with me on how.
No, it's the quintessential like Karaman goal that you and I are always talking about, which is like he's not the fastest guy out there. He doesn't always have like some sort of wild trick that he pulls, but he just has great touch. And there's times he'll get in the box and take a couple quick stabs at direction and just get somebody off balance. And he chooses good moments to take his shots too. Like early sometimes, like in that situation, like the last defender that he was against, he kind of does like a little shoulder deke, like he's gonna fake going left, and he doesn't beat the defender, and so the defender's running with him right, and the second the defender starts running with him again, he immediately shoots back left across his body into the space that the defender just thought he prevented from going in that direction. So anyway, it's just intelligent, and it's really well done. And yeah, I mean that was hell of a goal. Real sick, great counterattack too. And I mean, and Schalke was doing that all first half, honestly. That seemed clearly to be a point of emphasis from Muslic in terms of what they were looking at when they saw something on tape. Was they were going in with some of those direct balls in behind early, especially. And there was one from Kurachai, like on a dead ball situation where he took it early and Silla was waiting for it and ran in and so that seemed to be something that we were clearly targeting and looking for. And yeah, a couple of these quick counters got close, and this was one of them that ultimately came to fruition. But yeah, great linkage.
And of course, it's our captain who comes up big for us just before halftime. A huge goal before halftime to equalize it. I thought overall first half was pretty good, considering it was a level scoreline. You look at statistics: 61% possession for Paderborn to 39. Not too dissimilar from what we've seen all season long. We're accustomed to that. It says big chance for Paderborn 1-0. I mean that's that Kurda goal, but I mean we obviously had a goal ourselves. 6 shots to 2 in favor of us. So overall, I thought it was a pretty decent first half. I thought.
Yeah, that's the thing is, I thought we felt much more dangerous in the first half. So even when we did go down, I thought we were playing pretty well overall, generally speaking. And I thought we looked like we were more likely to score in the first half. So Karaman getting that goal before the end of the first half was huge psychologically because it just kind of shored things back up, and then no momentum shift at all, really.
Yeah, as Michael says, Karaman is fleet. No, I won't say Karaman. Karaman is not fleet of foot, but quick thinking. Absolutely. Other shout-outs for the first half. I thought Valentevitz, excellent first half, both ends of the pitch, really lively in that right wing side, kind of what you mentioned, during the lineups. A nice welcome addition to complement Vitaly Becker on the left-hand side, and obviously the midfield duo of Schallenberg and El Fauzi just doing their thing, Boston in that midfield. So I felt good. After the first half. Second half, we have not come out of halves very well. Brockelman had scored a header. He had a header just over the corner bar or just over the crossbar. Very cagey to start the second half. But then we started growing more into the game. 63rd minute, Silla had a goal scored. VAR says reversed offsides. That, I think, was a correct call, Jack, compared to the first half where he got taken down in the box. I was good with that offsides call, even though I didn't like it. How about you?
Yeah, no, that was one where live in the moment, I immediately thought it was going to be off. It looked like he had half his body. It actually was closer than I thought it was
Yeah,
when they showed what the actual slice was. But yeah, it looked like he was off in real time. Good finish though, regardless.
it
Patient
was.
in your post.
After that reversal call, Schalke killer Michel comes onto the pitch. I was like, oh shit, here we go. Don't like seeing him come on the pitch, like you said. But shortly thereafter, Jimmy Antuaje is substituted off. On comes Bryan Lasme. Key introduction for Schalke. I thought immediately his presence was felt. The direct play by him using his pace. He's the fastest guy in the league, even faster than Antuaje. And in I think it was 70th minute or so, Silla finds Valentevich, who feeds it to Lasma, who gets an opportunity. Shortly thereafter, Lasma again another opportunity. El Fawzi finds him on a break and he shoots it just wide of the goalkeeper. And you're like, okay, he's feeling it tonight. He's buzzing already. And then we're getting to late stages of the game. It's still 1-1.
But Rich, real quick, we were using him the way that we're always talking about. We need to use him, which is like he comes in that flanking wide role. You get him out into space on 1-on-1 in the transition, and then he like quickly attacks whoever he's going out and just gets a shot on frame. And like sometimes there's deflections that come off that, whatever. Sometimes he scores. I mean, like that's exactly like what you kind of want to be seeing from him is like those transition moments where he kind of pulls out a little bit wide. You play him and you get him into a 1-on-1 or 1-on-2, and he goes to work. Like that's his entire bag. So it was good to see that he was doing that again.
And I feel like sometimes people just overthink this with guys like Lasma, who have this innate ability, whatever their skill set is. For him, it's pace, and they think, oh, well, I got to put him in this and do that. And like, no, use his pace for what he got. Go direct plays, and this was exactly how you have to use Bryan Lasme. He was dangerous as soon as he came in, and I thought this was great adjustment by Muslic. I mean, I think going forward, if he doesn't use Lasman this same way off the bench going forward, he's crazy. I don't know how you cannot, because he was extremely dangerous against a very tired Paderborn team. And I want to give a quick shout out before I talk more Lasma to Matic, because early in the game, I think probably first minute of the game, he makes his great tackle, immediately goes to the Nord Curve and like tries to pump them up, and then like the 82nd minute or so, 80th minute or so, makes another great tackle, stopping a counterattack at Paderborn, does the same thing, pumps up the crowd. So he was engaged all game long. But then 86th minute comes along. There's a turnover. Schalke does some quick passing. I think the ball ends up finds its way to Silla. Quickly gives it to Karaman. Karaman, quick dink over to Lasme, who's on a little mini breakaway. Goalkeeper comes up, does the right thing. And then Lasme just a Raul-like and chips it over the keeper. It goes in the goal. Crowd goes nuts. I love that Bryan Lasme does, because it's not the first time he's done something like this for us. It's, I think, third time during the regular season. He also did this in the preseason. Gets the game winner. What a goal. What a goal by Bryan Lasme. We win 2-1. Thoughts on that goal? Because that was a really, really well done counterattack, I think.
Yeah, no, yeah. Once again, like quick combination play, which we saw on multiple occasions in this game, and it's just like we're so starved for that as Schalke fans, like competent combinations. And yeah, so it was great to see that. But yeah, beautiful dink, perfectly timed and weighted over to him, and then like super composed finish. That took a couple touches, picked his moment. I think he had Silla for help too, so probably could have like passed it off to him again in that situation. And also, he's, especially a guy like that like tends to kind of go for power a little bit more. For him to kind of execute that chip as well as he did, I thought was pretty impressive.
Yeah, Michael says on when in the 70th minute when he had his really good chance at the keeper save, he had a square over to Silla. They probably should have given him there, but hey, he puts it away there. That's all that matters. We win the game 2-1. Now we lead the league officially. It wasn't just for a day. We beat the second place team Paderborn. We got a 2-point lead on them. 31 points for us, 29 for them. Excited, happy for the boys. Great turnaround. I think Muslic deserves all the credit in the world for the turnaround. What we saw from last week against Munster to this week, where some doubts maybe started creeping in whether they could really sustain this as much as we had hoped. It was going to be rocky with the lack of attack. We came back in this one in a top spiel and looked. I mean, the second half was probably more dominant than the first half, and I thought this was an excellent performance against a good Paderborn team.
Yeah, I mean, Muslic deserves obviously a ton of credit. I mean, yeah, the fact that we're this competitive and looking this good, and as you said, like it's not the kind of game where you know, it's the first match of the season, and so there's usually Schalke playing, you know, Hanover, you know, so some other like, you know, Hamburg, Schalke Hamburg, like to start off the season. Like it's a bigger, two famous clubs, that kind of a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like Schalke's in it because they're a big name, but it doesn't really feel like we're a good team and that we're actually necessarily up for it. And this is one of those games where we came into this and I was like, yeah, absolutely, we're in this fight. This is a legitimate contest. We belong in this game, and I think we demonstrated that over the course of the 90 minutes. So it was great. I'm still, yeah, obviously, as I've said repeatedly, slightly not on the basis of this game. I'm still slightly concerned about our offensive performance over the course of the season. When you look, you know, through 14 games, 8 conceded.
I know.
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, we're the only team I think with single-digit goals.
We are.
Yeah. This point in the season.
Hertha,
I mean,
Hertha's
okay. Looks like Hertha's close. Yeah. I don't really care about Hertha.
Same.
I actually don't like how high they're getting in the table at the moment. Anyway, but yeah, Hertha actually kind of looking pretty similar to those goal ratios. But yeah, like I would like once again for our offense to get a little better. Looked much better today in general, not just, you know, from the results, but like I thought we looked more dangerous overall, and there's a good combination and stuff. But yeah, Muslic has been fantastic, and it was the response, like you said, the response we needed. We're allowed to have bad games. No one's going to win every game in the season. Like that's football. But I think like, yeah, to be able to bounce back a couple different occasions and then this win against league leaders and statement win at home is huge.
Yeah, I mean, better XG 1.5 to 0.7. We had more shots. That's the thing too. Like, it's not that we're not getting chances. We have 14 shots. We usually get double-digit shots. It's just that the quality chances aren't always there. And I think that's what we've been griping about, is that like we need to do better, create more dangerous opportunities against. And so we saw a little bit more of that in this game. Certainly made their keeper work a little bit in this game. So yeah, good win all the way around. And then usually, as we do when we win a game, we try to find out any of our guys make the kicker best 11. Well, sure enough, Captain Karaman does. He's the only Schalke player to make it in there, but he makes it in there for his his sensational goal. Good for him. And you know, he's not trying to get too ahead of everything. You know, obviously with now everyone's talking promotion, this and that with Schalke, he's, you know, trying to keep us grounded. He's like, look, this is a wonderful moment, which we all can enjoy, but we're keeping both feet planted firmly on the ground. He's like, we're not going to look too far ahead. It's just, we can't. We know how it's been before. We got a long way to go. We're not even at a midway point. We need to slow down, enjoy it, and take it game by game. And I think that's the best way to do it, considering all the hype now and attention that Schalke is getting, not just in the Zweite Liga, but all around Germany, and people in Europe are now like, okay, Schalke trying to get back in the league. I get people messaging me all the time like, hey, how about Schalke? Look at that. They're
yeah, and I'm not even saying we're favorites yet. It's just, but we're legitimately, you know, in the conversation for promotion, and that's great to say. Yeah, you know, early in the season after we rattle off a couple wins, you don't know if it's legit or not. And I think at this point, you know, with the teams we've beaten and the performance we put in, we can definitely say it is.
So as we have been doing, 4 talking points from this game. We'll kind of run right through these. First one, the redemption narrative. We're going to talk about Bryan Lasme, right? Came in late as a substitute, scored a goal, 86th game winner, and it shifts the narrative from like just as recent as last week, or in crisis talk. Is a team that can they win? And all of a sudden now we're producing late winners. We have impact players off the bench, which we had Lasme all along. Just that injuries have kind of set him back a little bit there. And then you also look at Kenan Karaman and his leadership, really stepping up when we needed him. Not just alone in the goal that he's scored, but just in general for this game and the leadership he's provided for this team. When it's down, he's the one who steps up. And so both those players really getting a kind of redemption for themselves in this mini part of the season. Thoughts on the impact that both those players had, not only in this game, but so far in the season in general?
Yeah, well, I mean, Lasme had a couple of winners like earlier in the year towards the start of the season. I think one was in the DFB Pokal too, right?
Yes, 107th minute.
Yeah, right. So I think it was, I know there's like, you know, injury bugs and everything like that, but like, I think it was, you know, a little bit frustrating. We're like, oh wow, like this is the best Lasme's looked in a while, like in a Schalke, you know, kid, maybe in his tenure, like in general. And then he just hasn't been as involved recently for it, you know. So to see him, you know, get the nod and, you know, have close to a full half hour to kind of work with, I thought was great. And he used his minutes well, made an impact. And like you said, I mean, like obviously it's going to be match dependent. There's going to be certain things that Moose is just going to be looking for, but like, yeah, more often than not, like if we need a goal, it's kind of like a no-brainer option to have, like get some fresh legs, especially if it's like an older, guy like Ajay, who's like, starting the 90 and puts, 60 minutes in or whatever. It's not a difficult call to get that kind of impact off the bench.
That's kind of crazy too. Like Ajay is one of the fastest guys in the league at 31 years old. And so the way Muslic uses him is not the way you would use a speedster in general. It's just good to have that option. There was a play early in the game where Ajay kind of like marauded down the field, kind of showing that pace, but like he doesn't use it that often. Only uses it when he needs to. Lasme, on the other hand, is a guy who wants to use. He's like a thoroughbred who wants to be out there racing, and you got to feed him. And we did this really well, coaching absolutely spot on. The way they use him in that second half, and ultimately, like I think, kind of going back to Karaman, I think Karaman kind of dictated how this game went. His teamwork, his footwork, his vision, calming the team down when they need to, getting people's faces when they had to. There was a point in the game where, I don't remember who it was. I think it was Korda trying to get a fight with.
Oh yeah, real chippy match.
And Schallenberg, and so a couple times their players were going head to head after each other.
I think it was like Becker had the ball on the edge of the box.
Yes.
And a defender, Paderborn player, came in to like tackle him and like didn't even make contact with the ball, just kind of like body slammed him. Yeah. And I guess was laying on the ground. And Paderborn was trying to say it was like a foul on Becker, which I don't really know if I see that at all. But like, yeah, I think Korda and Karaman was coming to blows. It looked like for a bit, but
Schallenberg got involved too. He's usually the quiet one, and he got involved too. So it's great to see.
Somebody said something to him, like, or said something specifically that like really set him off because he looked like he was okay at first, and then he started like freaking out and following somebody around. I don't know if it was like Bilby or whatever that did it, or whoever it was over there, but yeah.
No, for sure. Speaking of Schallenberg, takes us to talking point number 2. That midfield duo provides us, tactical flexibility and is obviously one of our strengths, along with the defense. They being El Fauzi and Schallenberg bring us legitimacy in that midfield, I think, that we haven't had in a long time, where we are all comfortable with those two in that midfield, where for a long time we weren't sure who the midfield pairing were going to be. Is it going to be Schallenberg? Is it going to be Bachmann? We don't know who's going to be. Gruger was going to be mentioned at times, and El Fauzi and Schallenberg have formed this duo together. I mean, they're going out together when they go to visit the Schalke clubs around Germany. They're going out together, which is great to see. They truly have a formidable, strong bond. And I think Schallenberg was a little juiced up in this game as well because this is his former team he's playing against. So I think a little bit of I want to outdo you there against Paderborn, and El Fauzi just doing what he does, nonstop running both ends of the pitch, defensively, offensively, everywhere. Sets up, kind of was instrumental in both goals that happened in this game for Schalke. Talk about what, how those two, how they're such a key for us with the midfield in general, because that brings us this tactical success and what Muslic is trying to implement with this team.
I mean, Alpha has been great this year regardless, and I think just brings a lot to the table in and of himself, independent of the pairing with Schallenberg. But I think it's just like he just brings explosion and that kind of aspect that Schallenberg lacks, and he's a little bit rangier, and so like he can kind of float between the attack. You said the tactical flexibility aspect, like he can float between the attack and the defense, and he has like a really crazy work ethic, and he can chase people down a little bit more and everything. And like Schallenberg is much more like reads the game and is positionally more aware and those kind of things, is just super steady. And so I think that kind of like complement between them makes them a very, because I think they complement each other in terms of what the other one lacks a little bit. Not that Schallenberg can't be like hard edged and put an attack or whatever. Like he goes to ground really well. I'm just saying, like, yeah, it's like Fauzi's just like everywhere. He's a nuisance. So he's going sideline to sideline, up and down, and kind of covering some of the ground that Schallenberg can't or doesn't as much, and meanwhile is allowing us to still kind of be stable in transition and everything. So yeah, it's super important.
He reminds me of, and I don't know if you'll get this reference, but he reminds me of the old Milan days when you had Andrea Pirlo and Gattuso in there. And they're slightly different profiles, but you had one player is more reserved, Pirlo like a Schallenberg, quiet back there, and you had the other guy who's aggressive, all over the place. You can't turn around if you're opposition and not see this midfielder in your face. You have the El Fauzi just all over the opposition. There's a play, and I don't remember if it was first half or second half, but like El Fauzi's chasing Del Bilby on his own end, fighting down to the corner, just both of them fighting for the ball, and they both are working hard for it. But El Fauzi's just like a bulldog, does not stop no matter what, and I love that about him. So yeah, those two together are a perfect fit.
And like not even like the I mean, this is kind of going away from like the original question you asked, but also like the number of like kind of nice flicks and like deft combination touches he had, like too. So it's not just like the energy and the work rate, which we love. We love the tenacity. Every Schalke fan's gonna love that kind of effort and work rate and drive and determination, whatever. But like some legitimately nice, silky football at times too, which is great to see. This kid, he's super impressive. Like really great signing to find him out of the third division.
Absolutely. Bauman gets all the credit for that. No doubt about that. Wasn't Manga for that on that one. Moving on to the third talking point. I think what we saw against Munster was a lack of anything in that second half. No urgency. Even when we went up a guy, it just seemed like we had nothing. In this game, second half dominance, I thought we really showed some mental fortitude after going down 1-0, getting a quick goal and then kind of like taking over in that second half, trying to really get the lead. So there's that, the mental fortitude part, and then also battling through like the VAR drama and some of this other nonsense going on through the game where could have old Schalke would have derailed us. And it goes back to the mental side of it where like we're so much stronger now. We are clearly under Muslic's like mental whatever he's implemented on his Jedi mind tricks with us, but like we are so much stronger now because of Muslic, and like we don't let those little things derail us. Where in the past, our whole game would get destroyed, and we'd go down 3 goals easily. And so it's just the Brazilians is back, and we saw that from last week to this week. We are legit.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a huge part. I think we've had issues for sure in terms of kind of compounding some of our own errors and allowing things to get a little bit more out of control than they should have been in a number of games over the past couple of seasons. I think some of that just comes from winning, though.
Yeah.
When you win a lot of games, you inherently have more self-belief, and like going down, early isn't going to affect you as much. Like it didn't seem like it did. Like, yeah, the VAR thing was obnoxious, but like, we were right back at it like immediately after, and then we ended up scoring, and equalizing a couple minutes later before half. So like, yeah, like I completely agree. I think the resilience and the evenness of the team is much more noticeable. There were a lot of, I think, more emotional swings in the past for sure.
Yeah, and that's such a welcome side because so many times in the past, one little thing go wrong, we were just be like, oh man, now the team's going to implode here, but we don't see that with us, and it's that swagger is back. It's not it's that mental fortitude, but now they got a swagger because winning is contagious, and then you start feeling okay, we can come back, and especially your captain is doing all this dirty work. He's like, okay, I'm gonna go fight for him. Let's go, let's go do this, and you guys got guys like Matic and Kurchai and Becker making all these these crunching tackles and El Fauzi all over the pitch. It's like
Kurchai had another classic one where he threw one in and then was like talking to the crowd and getting everyone hyped up like shortly after the winner from Lasme.
And or even like Karius coming out in one play and taking out Matic, going for the ball. Like you want to see a goalkeeper to be aggressive. It's like everyone is taking control of their position and owning it, and I love seeing that in this game at least. Maybe not so much last week, but it's a good welcome, change from what we've seen. So I'm all about what Muslic is doing right now. The guys are absolutely feeding off of him. And as a result, now we are back at the top of the table, or we are at the top of the table, putting pressure on everyone around us. Obviously, we're a name that's amongst many names who are, vying for promotion. Not only Paderborn, but also Elfersberg, who got a result this week, and Hanover, who won big. Darmstadt, even the team in Berlin that we have failed to mention. Kaiserslautern, even they're a far shout in Karlsruhe too. So like we're putting pressure on these teams. We're keeping it up. As I said at the beginning of the podcast, 10th win already this year. We had 10 all last year. It's good to see we're putting pressure and embracing the favorite lead or favorite role for now.
I mean, look, it still feels weird every time we hop on and there's another Victory Monday because I'm just simply not used to having that many of them. It's been a couple of seasons since we did, especially in some of these big games too. So yeah, I mean, to have 10 wins already at this point in the season, like you said, is great. Far from over. second half of the season to play and some remaining of the first half of the season to play. So we still need to get, results, obviously, but couldn't ask to be in a better position right now. And I don't think many of us would have expected to be here. Certainly not maybe this early. So, tremendous start. It feels like we're not playing our best football yet either. And maybe I'm naive about that. Like maybe there isn't room to go offensively. I still feel like there is. I feel like there's another 20%, 25%. Like I feel like there's a minimum. You know what I mean? I feel like we can get a little bit better in that area. And so to be winning the league and not maximizing necessarily, but
yeah, I'm totally there with you because I think defensively we're good, and I think Karius has been good, Schallenberg, Alfauzi have been good, but offensively we haven't reached our potential. I think there is a potential there because look, you saw that with Lasme coming off. You have someone as a super sub that you can use and exploit. You don't. Oh, by the way, we haven't even used Remmer or Hoyland yet, or anybody else that that could possibly come off the bench. Maybe have something with Valentavits now. Yes, you've Gantenbeim and Porat who have done well this season, but if Valentavits is going to bring us this energy that can match Vitaly Becker on the left hand side, and they can find a way to
options. Isn't it great to actually have like multiple people at the right back position or like the right way, like that we're like kind of okay with? Like it's like how rare is that for us? It's been like a thing for like I feel like a decade practically or more.
Michael says it's amazing to see Karaman and Muslic easily switch from German to English when given a team talk. And I think that's important too. One, obviously they're multilingual; they can do this, but I think it's important that they're acknowledging that the team has a lot of German speaking players, but also a lot of English speaking players, and so you're mixing it all up. You see Matic chiming in as well in English only. So it's great to have that, and this is world football in general. But yeah, going back to the options thing, I think we can squeeze more if we get the wing play to actually start doing effective crosses. We're getting shots, but we need to get dangerous crosses and play more direct balls. Karaman, Silla, and Atuaje, whoever's there with them, can start working together with Alfauzi and Schallenberg and create more dangerous opportunities in front of the net. We're only going to get better offensively. We have to, and I think that 20% is more than possible. And so we do that without compromising the defense. We're going to be a dangerous team. For now, we're just a consistent team, and that's good enough for where we are at the table. But to get to the next step, to be full swagger mode, like freaking Conor McGregor, we're gonna have to get that ratcheted up just a little bit more offensively, and really put the onus on everybody else to be like, shit, okay, let's play for second place and go and then ride ourselves home. But we're not there yet, and we have some room for growth. And I think we can, like we can get there somehow, some way, hopefully.
Yeah.
Captaincy. Thank you. I can do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm optimistic. We'll see. I still have, the concerns that I've had for most of the season so far. But we've seen glimpses of, I think, what it can look like. And it's not even just like the chances that we score. Once again, it's some of the combination play in transition, even if nothing ends up happening in the final third. It's some of that stuff that I feel like has been so lacking. So when I see that just gives me more confidence and more hope as well in terms of, what we can potentially accomplish going forward. So, but tremendous start. And once again, to have 8 goals conceded through 14 is just remarkable, considering that we were one of the worst defensive teams in the season last year.
Crazy. It's crazy. And I know people were saying maybe what if we bring in a recognized striker in January? I know Edin Dzeko's name's been floated around because of the Muslic connection. And I don't know if that would help, but I don't think that's going to solve our attacking problem by any stretch. I think it's the service is the issue more than anything else. And so until we start getting that, that's what needs to become better more than anything else. But I wouldn't turn down like a Dzeko type or a recognized striker. So all right, so that's that game. We got a game this Friday against Dusseldorf. Won't go too much into that, but I do want to give some love to the rest of the Schalke teams around. Obviously, last week we talked about the big Derby Sieger win against Dortmund for the Frauen. That was huge there. Well, let's see how the ladies are doing this week. They won 11-0. Mandy Islacker with 4 goals yet again. She's got to like 29 goals this year or something crazy, which is unbelievable. But yeah, they win 11-0 against Amelsburen. And then the U23s of Knapenschmiede, they unfortunately lost to Cone, 3-2. You had goals from Sake and Ben Bala. I love Ben Bala. Love me some Ben Bala. but we lose nonetheless, 3-2. The U19s, they did win 3-1 against Osnabrück. It's nice in this one because they went actually down 1-0, and Norbert Elgert basically said, like, guys, don't worry about this game. This is all on me. We can do this. We can win this game. Don't focus on the game. They went back and stormed back 3 goals, and we won 3-1 in that game there. And then with the U17s, 4-2 against Victoria Köln in that one. So overall, not a bad weekend for the Knappen or just the Schalke in general. Happy to see we're rolling in this one. So there was a look on the Twitter feed. There was an update on where they are in all the places in the league for all the Knappen teams. I look at some stuff on Twitter here. Obviously, we're in first place, but where is that? Where is that place? Hoop Stevens, his birthday was yesterday. Happy for him. Dusseldorf is our next opponent. Where is that statistic there? I know it's here somewhere. Next 3 games. Nuremberg after Dusseldorf, and then Braunschweig to round out 2025. Here we go. That's what I want to see. So, obviously, we are in first place presently. The Frauen are in first place as well by a good margin. And then the U19s are in second, 1 point behind Fortuna Köln. And then U19s, they're in first place by 3 points against Gladbach. So overall, our youngins they're feeding off the Muslic energy, Muslic and Baumann energy. So how about that? As Michael says, a win without Gensenbach.
Yeah, you love seeing success across the whole vertical. So good stuff.
Yeah, that's it. So. Oh, a game against Düsseldorf coming up Friday, like I said, and we're not going to get too into it, but they are presently 14th in the table. They are 1 point above the drop. So, yeah, Friday game. It's like our 14th Friday game. It feels like almost every week it feels like it's a Friday game. We just came off a Friday game against Paderborn.
Yeah.
I'm going to say what I've been saying all year. I hate Friday games, but it's been working.
Yeah, not a fan of it, but at least we can watch them on demand as opposed to last year. Although for some reason ESPN, when you load it up on the app, decides to show you the final score and all the stats the second you click on the video, which is kind of like, what if I hadn't seen the spoilers yet?
Yeah,
I'll have to write them a strongly worded letter.
Thanks, ESPN. Oh, all right. Well, on that note, it's a Victory Monday. Let's wrap this one up, Jack. Where can our followers find you on social media?
At JMMangan, JMMANGAN on X/Twitter.
You can follow me at R_KHARMAN, but more importantly, follow us on Schalke America all across social media. Make sure you share us with your compatriots everywhere all around the world. For those in the chat tonight, everyone watching along, thank you. Glück auf, we see you out there. Even those on Facebook, I see there. Was it Dirk? Is it Paul? I don't know who it is. One of you guys. But yeah, short week in terms of, podcasting and the games on Friday. But yeah, it's 3 games left in the first half before we get into a break. So let's end this on a good note. Teams that are certainly winnable. At this point, it seems like everybody's a winnable game, right? But nonetheless, let's get on out of here. Jack, enjoy the snow. I will as well. For everybody else, have a good week. Glück auf.